Awesome, you're back. So, imports and functions. Let's start with imports. Imports is like importing a library of like recipes, right? And each recipe gives you instructions on how to do something, or like bake brownies. That's very similar to like Python imports. It imports modules or other functions that make your life easier. So let's do an example. We're going to import OS, right? And that is built into Python when you install it. You're bringing in all of those functions of OS. One of the functions of OS allows us to make calls to the system, like shell out to the underlying bash command line, right? As an example, if we do like our variable response, we're going to do equals OS system, and we're going to say ping count of 1, and we're going to do like google.com. We run this, and we can see that it did a shell. It pinged to Google one time. So there's other places that you can get these libraries from, like GitHub. You can use like pip, which is basically a package installer for Python, to bring in other libraries that other people have written to make your life easier. To expound upon this, let's create a function. A function is just a way to organize your code, to make your code more reusable, right? So let's define a function, and we're going to start with def and then a function name. So what do we want this function to do? Let's have this function return true or false, a Boolean value, to see if a website is up or not. So let's say is active. That is our function name. And with this function, we need to pass in a value, a string value. And this string value will be either a host or an IP address. So we need to define a bucket, a variable that we can use to pass it in. Right? In this case, let's just call it host. We'll end that definition, that header, with a colon, and then actually start writing our code. Right? And so let's make a comment. Let's say that this comment is going to define what this function will do. Pings a host, returns true. Actually, we just say returns a Boolean, right? And let's start with our code. So let's define a variable, response. And let's say it is OS system, because we're going to be using the OS library that we imported. And a part of that library that we're importing, we're using their function called system. And we're going to shell a command, count 1, and then a host, right? And we're bringing in a host, so we're going to concatenate this string like so. And then we can use a condition like if response equals 0, then return, because we need to return a value, and return is a keyword, return true. Else, return false. And the way that we use the functions that we defined within our script is that we need to call it. So how to call it is we can do something simple as print, and we're going to be using isActive. We need to specify a host. In this case, let's say google.com. That's what we want to ping. And this will return if it's active or not. So what I expect is true. So if we were to run it, here, it's true. Awesome, right? Awesome sauce. And we can become more elaborate with this function. We can do if is active, right? And we'll give it a host, google.com, equals true, then print Google is up. Else, right, if we get a false, print Google is down. I will comment that line out. We will run it again. Awesome. Cool. All right. Let's take it one step further. Let's define a variable host. We'll have host equal our friend google.com, and we will replace each place we are specifying that host. And we can say we will cheat a little. We will come in here, we'll delete Google, we'll put a placeholder, and we could use formatting and say that for every time in this position here, replace it with host. And if we had another one, we would do it like so, place a comment in our format, and provide what we wanted. But we don't want that just yet. We'll come into here, we'll say mark that, come here, and we want to replace that with host. Alright, host. Okay, cool. So if we run this, it should still return true. And it does, which is awesome. But what this allows us to be is a little bit more flexible. Meaning that we don't have to come in and replace Google at every place we need it. We can just come in here, change the value of our host, and that will change it through all of our code. So if we do like a fake domain, like nil google.com, I don't think that exists, and we run it. Right? It's down. So it evaluated that. So that is going over imports and functions at a very high level, and we got to see it from a conditional standpoint, and we were going to dive even deeper, so buckle up and get ready. You're doing awesome, man.